KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. And on your smart device, KCAA. Just type in KCAA. I'm Mark Westwood, and it's time for the Donald Williamson Taxsaver and More Show right here on your favorite talk station, the Inland Empire's most listened to talk radio, right here at 1050 AM. And now, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, as he gets himself adjusted, his microphone, I mean, Donald Williamson. Yay!
Good afternoon, all of you good listeners out there in Radio Land. I've got on my left my guest speaker coming up, Shumi, and he's going to talk a little bit about Medicare. And I'm going to ask him a question later on when it's his time. And it's been making me wonder. And on my right, of course, y'all know who Mark Westwood is, the manager here at the radio station.
That's a very rare thing when I get introduced to be on the right.
But I did remember to do my guest first.
You did.
Thanks for having me on, Don.
You know, I'm going to start with something that I want to talk about. I've got a lot of things to talk about, but and we will pick up somewhat where we left off last week. But this since we're on YouTube, I'm going to show this. This is San Bernardino.
Oh, okay.
And it's written. It's kids. It's kids that wrote this about San Bernardino, and it's kind of interesting what they wrote. One of them says, "My family and I are San Bernardino," and it says, "I love." It looks like Denny's. What's that say right there?
I love Denny's. Yes. It's a little kid writing this.
Yeah, I know. In San Bernardino.
Yeah.
And and then it says, "We are San Bernardino. It says that twice. "We are strong. We are intelligent. We have a purpose. We have a pursuit. Together, we are powerful." Now, these are kids, remember. And one says, "I love San Bernardino. There are many ways to have fun in San Bernardino. One way I have fun in San Bernardino is I go to the park with my dad. Then we play catch together. After we play, I am happy. Afterwards, we go home all happy. Another way to have fun in San Bernardino is to draw things with my friends and play tag. Also, I play on my iPad with my friends." And then I'll change to another one, too. It says, "My family and I are San Bernardino." And it shows, it's got some little cartoon things there showing that. "Cheerful San Bernardino is the best. San Bernardino has many amazing things to have fun. One thing I do have fun in San Bernardino is to spend time with my family. First, we get in the car and we go to the park. We have so much fun playing in the park. Also, San Bernardino has a lot of ways to have fun by going to Big Bear Mountain to play in the snow. We make snowballs and have snowball fights. Further, I have fun in San Bernardino when I go to the water park. We will have," I think that's changed a little bit. We will have the most fun in the world. Afterwards, we get some ice cream and eat it. Also, Mom and Dad and I have fun in San Bernardino because it has a lot of places. San Bernardino is so much fun for a lot of people, and they have fun too." Now, I'm just about another one of the two more that. Let me go on to another. I went through a couple of these. I should have marked them. Here's one. "I'm from San Bernardino. Yes, I was born and raised in San Bernardino. To me, this city is one of the most beautiful things ever. If you weren't from here, you might think we're ghetto or weird. But you can't be more wrong. Yes, I'm from San Bernardino. Sure, we aren't the richest city in the world. Remember, these are kids. And yeah, and I'm talking like fourth graders.
Yeah.
But you can't be more wrong. Yes, I'm from San Bernardino. Sure, we aren't the richest city. I said that. And yay, We don't have the nicest things in the world, but we have something better than any of those things. We have each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm from San Bernardino. Maybe we're labeled the most dangerous city, but that's so wrong. Our community could not be any more together. We always have each other's back. That's because we are from San Bernardino. And I'll jump, there was another one that's a kind of contrast. San Bernardino, the place where I was born, the place where I was raised, the place where you see a random guy at the bus stop. Here you would live in and know half the people. Must have been early on when San Bernardino was smaller. Where we will see kids running around until dark. A place where you can see families throwing parties every other day. But what happened to the place that I was before? Now we see violence and something on fire every other day. Now you see people fighting all the time. Mm. You can't be you anymore. Mm. Where you're scared to go outside, where you're hated on by your color. What happened to sweet old San Bernardino? What happened to kids outside? What happened to the families in the park? What happened to everyone knowing each other? And it's filled with hate now. Oh, San Bernardino, what is going to happen to your future? That was by kids.
Pretty poignant there. That's pretty poignant. Indeed, and it depends on how people see things, and maybe that child has gotten older and more sensitive and can see things more and has a better vision. Hey, I want to uplift something here for a minute. Can I do it?
Sure.
Let's hear it.
Well, the city of Riverside is getting a major upgrade to their neighborhood. The city will be in negotiations with Adrenaline Sports Resorts. It's a collaborative for development of recreational adventure. It envisions the mixed use consisting of a hotel, a conference center, new housing, and a grocery store and restaurant. The Riverside Adventure Center will occupy 126 acres of city property just north of the 60. It will coincide with the North Side Specific Plan, a document that was approved by the City Council after years of community input and research. The Adrenaline Sports Resorts is coming to Riverside. That's kind of a neat deal.
It is.
Isn't that a neat deal? I just...
But we're going to get a new team of some sort down where the 66ers used to be.
Yep. The Modesto Nuts are coming to San Bernardino.
Is that the real name?
That's the real name. That's the real name. In fact, well, okay, I'll just tell everybody quickly for the switch. The Inland Empire 66ers are moving to Rancho Cucamonga, but will still be called the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, because the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes are moving to a new baseball stadium in Ontario, but they don't have a name for that yet. And then the Nuts from Modesto are going to come down and be called the Inland Empire 66ers still. So you'll still have the same names, same ballparks, different teams, really. But it'll be hard to tell unless you pay attention. And so it's kind of funny. The Modesto Nuts, I guess, when their seventh inning stretch, would yell, "Go Nuts, go Nuts, go Nuts."
Yeah.
That is kind of funny. Hey, I have one more thing. Okay? This is kind of exciting. The American Entertainment Hall of Fame sets their induction ceremony for April. They'll be inducting Martha Reeves, Celebrating Legacy, and lead singers like Martha and the Vandellas, and Motown Sound, and Dancing in the Street with Jimmy Mack will be inducted. Those are the big celebrities. Then they got some smaller celebrities being inducted.
Smaller ones.
Me.
You're going to get inducted.
I'm being inducted
to the Hall of Fame?
To the Music Hall of Fame, yes.
What did you play?
Sax, I sang, but mostly because of my work in radio.
Can you still do that with the sax?
I can, yes, I can. In fact, over at the old studios in the desk, underneath my desk, I had a little more room. I had my saxophone was always under there.
Now, if
And
I had known that,
pull it out and kick it out and play and practice because I couldn't do it at the house. Because the neighbors would complain.
Congrats, Mark. That's awesome.
Now, next week, can you still do it? Can you come next week and bring it?
I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'm sorry to you guys all. I'm trying to get back
Yes,
with
I
the
do
sax.
want you to do it.
Yeah, mainly this honor is being because I have these radio stations that I've done for years and years and been in the music industry that way, but not so much for musical performance. But maybe that's kind of ties in a little bit. But yeah, I was very honored. I was shocked.
How did you find out about it? Was it in the mail? Someone called you?
They called me. They called me up, and I didn't. Then I got a letter and I got an email.
How'd they find out about you?
Somebody nominated me.
He's famous. He's in the Hall of Fame. So.
Yeah, somebody nominated me. So I'm not saying who because I don't know exactly who nominated me, but I was nominated me, and they did their research, and somebody submitted an essay and everything like that on my behalf, and they decided to induct me. So it's pretty cool.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
I have a person in my church.
It was in the website I was just looking at.
Oh, okay.
And now that's not what he plays. He plays the trumpet.
Okay.
He was in the Marine Corps about the same time I was in the Marine Corps in San Diego at MCRD, and he was in the Marine Corps band. And he plays. I said trumpet.
Cornet?
I'm not sure
Bugle?
if it's a sax or whether it's a trumpet, but anyway, I think it's a trumpet.
Well, there's a difference.
But
okay.
anyway, I kid around with him because he was in about the same time I was.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I was out there drilling on the parade field, and he was somewhere else in the band, just looking down where we were playing the music while we were out there sweating,
So, by the way, did you introduce Tashimi?
I thought I did.
Yeah, he said hi.
Oh, did he? Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Remember, I did him first and then you.
Oh, okay. That's right. To the left of me, to the right of me. I need some Provian.
I did something right. Well, before I go any further, I want to give some kudos and real thankful because we have a training session that's going on that the Teamster Local here, 1932, sponsored. And we talked about it, but it's their deal. And I can't, Kiwanis, we do a lot of things in Kiwanis, but this is great. They had a 6-week training course. And I mentioned that a number of times for people. I understood they had 200 people came out for that, and they get it's free. It was free. Now it's going on. So they're getting trained in office as well as in the warehousing part of it. And you know more about that, do you, with the training part of it?
Well, I do know that they wrapped up their training last week.
Oh, it's over?
Yeah, it's over, and they're going to do another training.
Well,
of
it
course.
hadn't been 6 weeks, has it?
No, I think there's a break or something. I don't know exactly what that is. Or maybe part of the training is they put them in the field and have them intern.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
So they're not here training right now. In fact, the gang is all having a conference. It's a tough one. They're having a conference in Lake Havasu.
Lake Havasu. For real.
For real.
Where London Bridge is.
Did you notice the parking lot's a little emptier today?
Yes, I did.
It's because, only us plebes have to stay behind
I
work.
I found a real close, good stall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but the overall thing was 6 weeks course with it's free course and it was free training placement assistance too. So if they got them out in the field working, then they'll get used to it. Anyway, I that was my old when I was in the SB Sarah and we just combined.
Well, they'll have more trainings, and you can always go to. Let me see that flyer for just a second,
Which
because I
one?
have to get the website.
Which one?
It is
that one. That one or this one?
No, I want the website, and this one. www.1932trainingcenter.org. 1932trainingcenter.org. You can find out more information about trainings and upcoming trainings going on and things that are going on right now. So
Yeah, 'cause
that's a good thing.
They're continuous. I mean, there might be a break in between them, but I mean, they have more of them throughout the year.
And of course, we have to plug Randy Corrigan's Worker Power Hour, one of our
Oh, yes.
associates over here. He's
yes.
on every Wednesday at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., 2 hours, and they talk about worker issues. Randy is the Secretary-Treasurer of the Teamsters 1932, the largest Teamsters union on the West Coast with over 14,000 members.
Wow.
It's a pretty big thing,
And
they're right here.
And to think my old union is a part of it now.
Yeah, absolutely. San Marino Public Employees Union.
That's
what
right.
you're talking about.
That's right.
You were a tax assessor, so you remember that. And so that's pretty cool. Hey, I've got some news for you, too, on the fire scene. And
Good, because I thought fire season was over.
Oh, no, the fire season seems to be all around. But San Marino...
But they have the rains and the mudslides, but go on.
The San Bernardino County Fire Department is preparing for 2025 fire year, which is there this year. But, in the wake of last September's bridge and line fires, San Bernardino County is ramping up its firefighting force. They're getting prepared. So county supervisors have approved the purchase of 10 new fire trucks. 10 currently in service will be put in reserve status, ready to be deployed when needed. So that's a good thing for this area. And the County Fire Chief Daniel Munzie emphasized the vital role the new fire engines will play in protecting the community and urgency of securing them despite industry-wide challenges. The trucks are fully outfitted and will be ready for the frontline use when they arrive in 8 to 10 months. So they're on their way, 10 new fire trucks added to their reserve 10 fire trucks.
That's good.
We can use all the help we can get.
Yes,
San
we
Bernardino
can.
County will definitely be prepared.
Well, we'll be more prepared. You know, it's just there's no amount of preparedness that could have happened in that last fire down in Altadena and Eaton Fire, and the other one in Previan. Give me Previan. Down by the beach.
Hurst?
Down by the beach. The area down by the beach they caught on fire, that burned up. Pacific Palisades.
Oh, sorry.
Pacific
I think-
Palisades.
I think
All you need Previan too. Everybody was quiet. Leave me dangle out there.
We said that almost at the same time.
Pacific
Pacific
Palisades.
Palisades.
And Pacific Palisades. And so, nobody could have, battled hurricane force winds with fire involved in them, enveloped.
Nobody
So,
would have thought it could have ever happened.
No way.
no way. So,
But planning, it has to have planning. So they're planning, they're getting prepared, and that's part of what we used to talk about, that they needed everyone to go home and think about.
now I want everybody to follow President Trump's instructions. Get your rake out and go up to the forest and start raking underneath the trees. Okay.
Get rid of the pine needles.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
now, you may be talking about the forest, but up in the mountains, because I have a home in Crestline,
Yeah.
a second
Yeah.
home that now is a rental, but it used to be my second home. But
Keep the pine needles
my
up.
kids are grown. My wife passed away 9 years ago from cancer, and my heart don't want me to go up in the mountains, so I rent it out. But anyhow, you have to keep the pine needles away from them homes up there.
Absolutely, and they do that. They know that for sure. Because what do they use for fire kindling? Pine needles. So that's just like having fire and kindling right up next to your house. Most people who are smart enough and wise enough and pay attention understand that. And especially when it's harder and harder to get fire insurance these days, if they find you with all that stuff around your house, they're going to tell you to get it away, or they're not going to cover you. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. When the pine tree falls.
I'm going to push being a member of unions, because everywhere I worked that had a union in my whole life, I was in it.
Yeah.
That goes back to the days of Kaiser Steel.
There's definitely
When
better
they had the
living with
steel
unions.
workers.
Yeah.
And because I actually worked 1 year right out of high school in the office of the tin mill out of Kaiser.
You just live better with unions, and unions don't raise the cost of goods or services at all, because the workers are paying for the union dues. So unions are a good thing. And
And this little I'll show that because we got YouTube and flyer, and it says worker power. It has members engaged, get involved, and then be engaged. Teamsters are making a difference. Schools, coaches, strike lines, community events, radio shows. Hey, that's us.
that's a BS. Yeah.
And a lot of others. Teaching, committees, and much more. To that, I'm going to add places, because I wanted to talk a little bit about this here hat, which is a Kiwanis hat, Calneva. And I was just,
That's nice. Let me touch it.
go ahead.
That's nice. It has a California Bear Flag Republic on it. It has. It looks like that's a U.S. flag.
That's
to be US?
supposed to be the United States.
Oh, that looks almost like a British flag.
No.
It's a U.S. flag. It's embroidery. It's kind of hard.
But it's the one up
And
here
then
that I
it's
can't.
Kiwanis.
Yeah, Kiwanis.
Kiwanis flag, yeah. And then it has the Kiwanis International symbol. And then the district 36, if it's still 36.
Yeah,
Calneva
it is.
district.
It is.
So, yeah.
He used to be in the
Nice.
Key Club, and you know all about Kiwanis, and I hope he's going to rejoin Kiwanis now.
I'm going to have to, Eric, because every week he mentions this. Every week he
Yeah,
mentions this.
yeah. And
One more thing.
I told Simi over here, if he gets somebody to join our club, that I'll give him one of these hats.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna need a special order for the size of this head, Don.
He's a big guy, big boy. I got to tell you
There you
something.
go.
And some non-skid stuff.
6'4", wasn't it? Wasn't it 6'4"?
6'4".
The Lakers need somebody.
I on that squad, I probably don't. I wouldn't show up on the court.
Yeah, there are somebody's 7 foot, ain't they?
I don't know. I think
On one-
on basketball.
Yeah.
I don't
Victor
know.
when they Anthony Davis, I think it's 7 feet tall.
Was it Anthony Davis?
There's a few. Snubman.
And now, my mother, one I really liked, he's no longer there, is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I liked his skyhook.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I said.
You said Jabu.
Kareem
Djibouti.
Abdul-Jabbar. And he was good with that skyhook. I don't think I ever saw him miss.
You know, Don, you're right. And you know what? We're not going to miss this either. That's a
What, the
commercial break. Yep. Hey, it's Mark Westwood along with Donald Williamson, Taxsaver and more, and Dashimi Gashugi. Woohoo!
You did it.
I did it. And Eric Casario in the chamber over there. I'm Mark Westwood. We'll be back with more Donald Williamson Taxsaver and more on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
KCAA Loma Linda.
For KCAA 1050 AM, NBC News Radio, and Express 106.5 FM, the City of San Bernardino has offered the job of interim city manager to Bill Gallardo, who recently retired after a long career with the City of Brea. The City Council appointed Gallardo to the post as they continue to find a permanent city manager. In the wake of last September's bridge and line fires, San Bernardino County is ramping up its firefighting force. County supervisors have appointed the purchase of 10 new fire trucks. 10 currently in service will be put in reserve status and can be deployed when needed. The trucks are fully outfitted and will be ready for frontline use when they arrive in 8 to 10 months. Looking for agriculture support? The Riverside Corona Resource Conservation District empowers local farmers to feed our community more sustainably. The Agriculture Conservation Advisor will assist farmers in our area for free. They can assist with healthy soil management, irrigation efficiency, agriculture easements, and more. To best serve farmers' needs, they need to know what is actually needed, so all questions and shared concerns are welcome. They also offer a free guide about the benefits of local foods, where to buy them, and how to grow them. It includes directions of farm stands, resources for farmers, and more. For more questions and details, visit their website at rcrcd.org. Weather in the Inland Empire partly cloudy on Thursday, continued quite warm and highs in the mid-80s. Clear at night with lows to 54. Much cooler Friday and into the weekend. For NBC News Radio, KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM, I'm Lillian Vasquez, and you're up to date. KCAA, keeping California alert and aware.
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually, tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
Dick's Auto Wreckers in Kingman reminds all drivers, when you take to the road, remember to take along those 3 C's of safety: caution, courtesy, and a little common sense. Safe and sober driving is everyone's responsibility. This message courtesy of Dick's Auto Wreckers in Kingman. Call Dick's Auto Wreckers at 928-757-9888. That's 928-757-9888. This message from Trish and the staff at Dick's Auto Wreckers in Kingman.
KCAA.
KCAA 1050 AM 106.5 FM, the stations that leave no listener behind. And on your smartphone, your smart device, be smart and type in KCAA, download the app, and you can listen to us in Paris, California, or Paris, France. I'm Mark Westwood, and now it's time for more Donald Williamson along with his guest, Dashime Gasugi.
Good to be here with you guys. Thanks for inviting me back over again.
All right, and take it away, Donald.
Well, before I turn it over to him, I want to say, because it is the Taxsaver program too. You know, April 10th is coming. It's not that long away. It's not even full 2 months. It's less than 2 months. And what happens on April 10th?
If you don't put your taxes in, you have to pay a penalty.
That's correct, which means if you do pay on time, you save.
Right, or you file an extension.
No, not for property tax. That's IRS.
Oh, IRS. Okay, excuse me.
By the way, IRS is April 15th.
April 15th. Okay, that's. I thought, is it earlier this year? Okay. Darn it.
It is. It's on April 15th.
I filed the 1040. You don't make enough money form.
Anyway, I want to real quickly say that because you just talked about the fires and being prepared and all that, and that's terrific. A lot of times they don't learn or they forget. They're getting prepared, and I salute them for that. Mm-hmm. I want to say one more thing about calamity and disasters. Mm-hmm. Next week, I intend to elaborate more on some of the exemptions and programs, tax saving opportunities. But I run across a person that had a swimming pool busted. It's a fiberglass. About 40 years old, probably. And for the last 10 years, that thing's been destroyed. And probably from earthquakes or something. I don't know. It's in pieces. And it just hit me the other day. I said, wait a minute. That was a disaster. In any event, whether you count it as a disaster or not, I'm sure that person is still paying property taxes on that pool.
You know what? You're probably right.
So we're going to get that taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to save some money, and she's 81 years old.
Speaking of pools, I want to congratulate our news lady. She just had a brand new pool installed in jacuzzi. So we're going to go over there and party, she says. We can all go over there. That's going to be really good. And I want to give credit where credit's due. Some of our news articles and inspiration comes from Jim Ness from Inland News Today, who used to be a newscaster here as well. And he runs a really good website. Check it out, inlandnewstoday.com.
Thank you, Jim. We can depend on you.
That's right.
Now we'll switch shoes here and I'll reintroduce my good friend and Kiwanian, Dashime.
Thank you so much, Don. If you don't mind, before I go into my part, to just tag into what you just talked about with fire and preparedness for property owners. One of the things people also need to realize is in this era of, the carriers are really tightening up. So if you have any branches on your trees touching the house, if you have any peeling paint, if you have any form of debris on your property, they're able to see satellite images and drone footage, and you'll get, in many cases, non-renewed. So you want to be religious about that as much as anything else. I just want to give some context to that.
I wish you had told me this a year ago that was going to happen. I've got two that's, though it says notice of non-renewals, that's what they're talking about. They're aerial photographs. They're showing tree limbs that are over touching the roof.
Exactly.
And by the way, if you have trouble with rats, that's where they're coming from. They run up the tree, come down the limbs on there, and then get in the house. So that helps by getting rid of them trees. And I'm telling my guy, listen, if they're up by the house, just cut the tree down. We used to top it, and if it's just on one, we topped two and took one was by the foundation. We cut that thing all the way down, and you got to make sure you kill the root because it'll come back. But that's true, and they're talking not just the tree limbs. They're talking. It said yard maintenance. They're
Absolutely.
looking at what you said about if it's painted or not. If the roof has a problem, they're looking. They're calling out roofs, and so you got to make sure they're okay. And they're it should be in all the time. They shouldn't have to have that, but.
I didn't want to belabor it. It's just more I know this is something that comes up in my house almost like every week. There's some form of issue like that.
True.
So I think if people have context to know that up front when they know their renewal's coming, or even well before then, just to be mindful of that, because you don't want to be caught without insurance and potentially having a difficult time getting it reinstated.
Because if you wait too long, you almost can't. You have to go to state. But they are doing it. In fact, my contractor's been out and he's getting everything done in the tree. My tree man that does my yard, he's been out there cutting the trees and stuff. And So we're getting them all done, and they give you about 3 months' notice. So if you get right on it, you got time, and then they don't cancel.
Okay.
Now I'll turn it over to you and thank you. By the way, that's a farmer's insurance agent, so he knows what's going on. He's an expert.
Yeah, it's my day-to-day. And Don and Mark, thanks again for inviting me today. Don asked me to come in to talk a bit about Medicare, so I just want to talk about some higher-level things. What is Medicare?
Sorry.
Are you old enough for Medicare?
That is what you're saying.
It's okay. We'll talk about...
I thought my cost switch was off.
Yeah, we'll talk about what is Medicare, who is eligible, what's Part A, what's Part B, what does it not cover, where do you even go to sign up, and how you close the gap. That's kind of the scheme of which I'd like to go through it, okay? And so what is Medicare? Medicare is federal health insurance for U.S. citizens and permanent legal residents. You generally have to be 65 or older. However, if you are under 65 and have qualifying disability, whether that's end-stage renal disease or Lou Gehrig's disease, you can get on Medicare that way. Now, who is eligible? Medicare eligibility is for anyone. Medicare eligibility starts on the first of the month in which you turn 65. However, let's say Don turns 65 on March 1st. In that case, you could get enrolled for February 1st, the month before. That's the one exception in terms of getting that started. And you have to be a U.S. citizen and a permanent legal resident.
And everyone has A and B.
In order to get not necessarily automatically, everyone needs to get A and B.
Oh, I thought everybody automatically did. If you signed up for Medicare.
Yeah, if you're already on Social Security, getting Social Security income, you may get automatic enrollment. But if you're not, let's say you're 67 and you're working for your current job and you're on group health insurance, that's not automatic. You have to go out of your way to do that.
Well, that's an interesting thing too. Suppose you are, and your employer has health insurance, so you're covered with health insurance. You still get on Medicare too?
Correct. So that's a great question.
Long term and short term too.
So here's how I'll start with this one and kind of bring it back into context. So let's just say you're married, you're still married, you're 68, your wife is 66, but you're both still working. As long as you're on a group health plan that your employer takes care of, you don't have to be on Medicare, and there's no penalty for doing so. However, let's just say at 71, you're like, I'm ready to hang up what's the analogy? Hang up the boots and I'm ready to retire. Then in that case, you want to start 3 months before that end date of when you plan to retire to start getting enrolled in Medicare for the Part A and the Part B. And at the end, I'll give you the website.
So you're ready for the enrollment period.
Exactly. So that's the best way to think about it. So the social when people say, where do I go to apply for Medicare? You have to go through the Social Security Administration. So it's SSA, Social Security Administration.gov/benefits/Medicare.
But there's these handy dandy guys like you, and I know a guy named Woody Andrews. I know a guy named George Litchfield. I know you now, Jashima, that do this counseling kind of education kind of clarifying things.
Sure.
How do you find one of you?
Well, to find me, I'm in Redlands. I have an office at Park West Plaza. A lot of it has to do with marketing. I mean, it's like if people don't know you, they can't do business with you.
You got to reach out.
You got to reach out. And also, the CMS and the government has very particular ways in which you can market.
I do understand that.
Like, I couldn't come on and talk about a particular plan and try and sell anything. So a lot of that happens through, you can go to swap meets, you can go to senior centers and do presentations, churches, what have you. So there's a lot of different, you can go through the mail as long as you follow certain types of, as long as it's cleared through CMS and your upline. Those are some of the ways. And radio, TV, I mean, virtually social media, any medium I'll take you.
That's right. And A, B, and C, and D.
Yes. So people ask, what is Part A, Part B? So Part A, think about it as hospital skilled nursing facilities.
And what's the limit
Hospice.
on that coverage? Because it pays only so much, and then you might be.
Well, let me get to that just in a second. So
Okay.
we're going to build the building blocks together. So Part A covers the inpatient side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Part B is outpatient. Part B is
When they send you home to convalesce.
Well, yeah. So if it's preventative screenings, mental health, ambulance, outpatient care, so what happens is Part A, Part B, inpatient, outpatient covers 80% of the bill. So let's just say you go to the hospital and you have something traumatic happen, and that bill is, inpatient, outpatient,
Astronomical.
$300,000.
Which is easy to happen.
Yeah, it's 80% up to whatever number. So the main issue of where the other gentleman you mentioned and I come in is how do people fill in the gap for that other 20%?
The gap, filling the gap. That's what I hear all the time.
Senior Advantage is coming up.
So that's where I know Don had some questions about it, but that's where the differentiate happens. Where it's like, okay, this could be if I don't have my supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, that 20% can be an infinite number. There's no cap on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what we do is we meet with people and say, hey, we'll get you enrolled in A and B, and then say, okay, how do we close
the other 20%?
Yeah, because what Part A and Part B don't cover dental. It doesn't cover vision. It doesn't cover hearing. It doesn't cover over-the-counter. It doesn't cover prescription drugs.
Hearing, what'd you say?
Right. So that's also part of the. That's a good one.
As he smiles at you.
Dental, I need dental.
And so that's that.
Me too.
So just briefly, talking about you asked Part B, Part C. So there's one of two ways you fill in the gap for that 20%. You can either do option A, where you get a supplement, which is on average about $125 a month, and then a separate Part D prescription drug policy that's on average about $15 a month. Or on the other end, you can choose to get a Medicare Advantage plan where premiums can be as low as $0.
Zero.
And it may include dental, vision, hearing, and prescription in that as well. So it just depends. So that's the part where we come and figure out which makes the most sense for you based on your situation.
So does it like Scan is another one?
Scan is
Do they cover dental?
Depending on the plan.
Okay.
That's as deep as I can go.
Yeah, okay.
And then there's United Healthcare, and then there's what was Blue Cross? What was that one?
There's Blue Cross Blue Shield, there's Anthem. There's a lot of different carriers that are.
Then they have something called Medi-Medi.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
So Medicare, Medi-Cal.
Right, exactly.
Oh yeah.
If
So
you're on that, yeah.
depending on where you are on the income, one takes care of the one side, and then the other takes care of it over. But in that case, that's also where we'll come in and figure out, okay, if this person on Medicare, do they need to be on a Medi-Medi? Do they need a Medicare Advantage plan? Do they need a supplement plus a
That's
prescription
why
drug?
you need these guys.
Yeah.
And it really, you do provide an essential service, and you don't charge anybody for that.
No.
It's all no charge to the person.
No.
And then you get paid through the government.
Through the carrier.
Through the carrier.
Yeah.
You get some sort of a commission or...
Sure.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So but you have to be a licensed insurance agent.
Yes, and then you have to go through each carrier through their trainings and make sure, okay, not just that you have a life accident health license, but do you understand our specific products?
So like Senior Advantage, Scan, others are like United Healthcare or something like that.
Each Medicare Advantage or supplement provider has their own credentialing thing. So just because you have a license doesn't mean you're licensed to sell it for everyone. But
Is Anthem one of them?
right, yeah.
Just so you know, full disclaimer here.
Talk to me.
The reason I know a lot about this, I've got a good friend who does exactly what you do.
Yeah.
And he's such a good friend that our booster for KQLH out in Banning and Beaumont and Cherry Valley is on his property.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Smart.
So I'm going to have to answer him for interviewing, but that's okay.
Nowhere to hide now.
No, he's a very nice guy. You know him probably, George Litchfield.
I don't know him personally.
No, okay. But yeah, I thought you all knew each other.
I've heard the name.
You don't think, how many of you guys are out there?
all over the country.
I have
think.
no idea. It's kind of like how many real estate agents are in San Bernardino.
I mean, this is a new industry.
Yeah,
I
but
just
this
learned
is all
about.
across America.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I have no idea. I don't know how I'd even be able to quantify
The former
that.
general manager of 99.1 became an insurance agent,
Really?
and now he does what you're doing.
He's smart.
Yeah.
Now, I get mine through San Bernardino County, but I have their what they call high option, and I know you can get that zero premium, which I used to have, by the way, but I pay $200 a month premium, not copay, premium, and that's the high option. The only benefit, it's about equal really, is I get lower copays and more freebies on tests and so forth. They're free and so on. But because I've thought about going back to the zero, but then I think it's about a wash.
You know, without looking at it, I don't have any context, so I wouldn't be able to tell you yay or nay. I think that's when you meet with your agent and say, hey, here's where we are. Does this make sense coming into the new year? How do we know whether this is the right thing for me versus making an adjustment?
Everybody's got a specific prescription, plan, whatever you want to call it, a need that, and having somebody like you helps them assess that. And sometimes they don't know they have a need, or they don't know if things are available.
Here's a common scenario that comes up. So let's just say I'm 65, I enroll, but I'm healthy, I'm not on any medications, I feel fine. But let's just say at 68, I develop a heart condition, and I have to, and other complications that come with that. And now I have to take all these medications. One of the things that people may not know is if you don't check with your agent to see, okay, is my medication on the formulary, and what are the copays? Because from year to year it may change. Maybe in this year it's affordable, but next year it may not be. And if I don't evaluate to see, hey, who can cover me and keep it within my budget, or I don't want to show up on January 1st and I come to an appointment, I can't even get my prescription because I didn't realize it's no longer on the formulary. I should have made a switch.
There's that word again. There's that word again. We got to get a glossary of terms. Formulary.
What is exactly that word, formulary?
It's a formulary would be a list of the drugs within a pharmacy, within the carrier. Say this is the list, or a glossary, I guess would be a better way.
Is that what you were going to ask, Don? Because he was about to ask a question when I jumped in on there.
No, that's what I was thinking about. I know somebody somebody real close that just had that happen, where he got a letter in the mail that says so-and-so drug. I think it's a cholesterol drug. Or blood pressure, I'm not sure which. I think it was cholesterol. That's no longer covered under the actuary. So I'm assuming you're just going to pick another one that is.
Yeah, and so that's a classic example of like you want to catch that up front rather than be surprised. And that's, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. Now, Don, do you have a question? Because I have a direction I was going to ask him.
Go ahead.
You're going to. Okay. So you get all set up. Say we go see you, or somebody goes to see you. They get all set up, and a year later, some things start to change.
Okay.
So they should see you again.
Good question.
100%. I think just like auto, just like home, just like any renewal, hey, so let's just say it's
not static. It doesn't, things change.
Exactly. So let me give it a classic example of like a home. Let's say I insure your home this year, but between now and next year, you change out the tiles, put in premium style cabinets, make all these adjustments. And I don't know about that as your agent. You're not, just because you make those changes doesn't mean that's necessarily going to be covered for all the new things. So one of the things we'll do is, hey, when it comes to your flooring, what percentage of it, is it still carpet, tile? Oh no, we have like granite new tile and we have all this other stuff. Okay, now I can go in and reevaluate it so that we make sure that in the event of a total disaster that we get it as accurate as possible
and
to replace it to where you are.
Closer to get replaced, yeah.
Exactly. And so you want to take that same mentality into, whether that's auto, whether that's health, you name it. Most things don't stay static.
Yeah, and it's so very, very important to do that. In your home, and since you're farmers, I can say that. You probably say amen, hallelujah. I'm glad you said this.
Sure.
Take pictures of your house, of your property, your car, everything.
I tell people this all the time. In the event of a claim, let's say you have a bunch of nice furniture or all types of stuff. If a claims adjuster comes by and you're saying, you want to put yourself in a position to advocate to be like, hey, this is, when we talk about replacement, this is what the chair was. These are the different precious items that I had in here. So without that, it can sometimes be a he said, she said type of thing.
And it's not just disaster. Say if your house gets burglarized or something like that.
Anything, So it's just those are just some of the things I tell people to either keep a digitized version of that somewhere that's outside that we can access in the event, so I can help be an advocate to try and help restore.
Yeah, email those pictures to yourself so they're out in the cloud.
Yeah, however, or Polaroid, however you want to do it.
Polaroids, that's an old term. Do they still do Polaroids? I don't know.
I'm sure there's some niche company that allows you to do that. I haven't used one in some time.
Yeah.
In case a person should get one of those letters that says non-renewal with 3 months to go, photos you mentioned, very important. Even though you fix it, they want a paid bill, and they for whatever it was. Plus, they want photos.
Yeah, generally, if someone calls, if I see that a non-renewal is coming, I'll reach out to say, hey, there's a non-renewal. I want you to hear it from me before you see it in the mail for X, Y, and Z reason. Here's the information. Here's what I need you to do to remediate it, and then here are the pictures I need in order to submit in order to help get that reinstated and keep you on track.
And if you've got fire insurance, don't let it lapse. In California, especially,
I would not. I would not.
You got troubles
that.
if you do.
Yeah,
you have to get something called a California supplemental insurance policy. Am I understanding that's right?
If your home is in an area that's listed as a high fire, so for example, if you live in a place and
like the mountains,
the mountains, but even some you're seeing it down here in Redlands and Loma Linda, where now depending on the carrier, you might be seen as in a high fire area. Now in that case, carrier will cover everything that's not fire, and then you'd be required to then call the state and get a California FAIR plan to cover
California
the fire
FAIR
side
plan,
of
yeah,
things.
that's right.
So those two together would become what a form of one policy used to be.
Have they redlined, I'll call it that, in the mountains, the whole mountains,
What do you mean by? I want to make sure I understand your question.
as far as fire?
I don't think red line is a good term.
I don't.
Well,
I don't know if that's the.
I think they have numbers, but because back, I got a home up in Crestline.
Yeah.
And it's right across from Lake Gregory, right by 7-Eleven, and right by the town. The whole town would have to burn down, which could happen, but the whole town would have to burn down. And by the way, I got a fire plug right there by my driveway, and the fire department's about a mile away.
I'll put it to you this way: I don't have any property that doesn't require a FAIR plan that's in the mountains.
Yeah, that's what
I'm not. That's not to say there aren't cases or carriers that might, but in my case, it's pretty much.
But like I said, mine should be just about the lowest. I think the high one is high risk and the low one is lower risk. I think, and mine should be about the lowest there is in the mountains because. Like I said, the whole town would have to burn down. But we just saw what happened to Palisades, and some of them were places you don't expect. It's going to burn down.
Hey,
Could catch fire and burn down.
Hey, Don, we're to the end of the show. We've been talking with Dashimi Gashigi.
That's it.
And I'm so proud of myself. I said your name like 4 times right.
You sound like a native Rwandan at this point.
And, if people want to contact you, how do they do that?
They can either call me at the office at 909-492-7500.
Say it one more time.
909-492-7500.
So is that 909-792-4500? Yeah, I think that's right. Huh?
492.
Or I just go to my phone and say, give me farmer's insurance in Redlands, and his name along, maybe some others might pop up.
I'm the only Dushime in town, though.
That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we just have a couple of minutes left. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you.
Don Williamson, always a pleasure and honor to be your pronouncer.
And next week, I promise to talk a little more on tax saving things.
Absolutely. We get some taxes, and you're saving people money no matter what you do. And we talked about getting trained. We talked about events coming up. And it's always the Don Williamson Show, Taxsaver, and more. Power Hour right here on KCAA 1050 AM 106.5 and on the smartphone at KCAA. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you next week at 3 p.m. Same time, same bat channel.